'18th century Cameroon. Yes? Your taste is in your ass.
No, Jesus, no!
Welcome back to the Harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm here with my co-host, Scott Keith. Very good friend, Scott Keith, not just co-host. Let's just put it that way. Today, we're back with William Friedkin. We did Sorcerer a few months ago. And I was like, well, we might as well keep on going. Check out To Live and Die in L.A. Much different from some of his other work. It kind of takes that stereotypical cop movie and thrusts it into the 80s very purposely so.
It does. It's I don't know, is it cliche to call it post Watergate? To call it like we're, in the throes of, I guess, disrespecting the federal government. So that's why you have these Secret Service guys who I wasn't even aware that they did stuff like go after money launderers and stuff like that.
I knew that as a kid because I watched this movie called Drake and Josh Go Hollywood.
Okay. It's probably a more accurate movie about LA. I don't know.
Not as good. Yeah, it's not as good as this movie, but
I mean, this movie, it's a cop movie, and it's a buddy cop movie, except they're not buddies, and it's William Friedkin's fatalism. He's really
yeah.
one of the most, as far as big successful directors go, like fatalist kind of guys ever.
Pretty cynical guy.
Yeah, all of his movies have a downer ending, including this one. It's like, geez, man. Yes.
I was going in, yeah, I was like, this is a very stylish movie. He very much wanted to capture this. He takes his time to really capture LA as it was in the mid 80s. It's very modernist, very particularly modernist with a lot of its interior design. It was him. I mean, he's a guy who made shit like The French Connection. He wants to kind of push that into a different direction. So it's good that he went with a very specific aesthetic style. But I was wondering, watching, I was like, okay, so at first it felt like, is it? I know Friedkin can bring another at the next level to a certain subject. So, because at first I was like, well, this just seems like a buddy cop. He's gonna get revenge for his partner. Okay, so what's actually going on here? Because at first I was like, this is hitting all the beats, all of the I have 2 days till
2 days
retirement.
from retirement. He even says it. He says the line. He was 2 days from retirement.
But there's just once everything unfolds in the back half, you see the elevation going on. But I'm still enjoying the ride because to match with the main character, this main character is obviously like a personified line of cocaine with the way the first of all, the way he looks the whole movie. He looks like how what's his name in Goodfellas looks like in that last 30 minutes.
Yeah, Henry Hill.
Yeah, when he's getting hunted down by helicopters. This guy just looks like that the whole movie.
He's an adrenaline junkie. He's base jumping and stuff.
Yeah, just off of random bridges and
Stuff
shit.
like that, like Secret Service and stuff. I always wonder what kind of people like make it into that. I don't live in DC, so I don't meet a lot of Secret Service people. I also don't live in LA and launder and counterfeit money. But I do feel like there's got to be. I don't know. I feel like if you fit well into the Secret Service, maybe you don't fit well into other parts of society because it's such a or into other jobs at least.
Yeah, maybe
not
not.
into society. You could have a family or whatever, but like this guy can't. We're talking about Chance Cat. No, not. We're talking about Richard Chance. um, and I don't see. I thought the same thing at the beginning of this movie because I'll be honest. I mean, this movie it wasn't bad. It didn't grip me. There are things I liked, but I never felt fully pulled in. And I the words TV movie floated through my head at some parts.
No way.
And a little bit, just in some of the, I mean, let's just take William Petersen. Like, I don't know, like there weren't really movie stars in this except Willem Dafoe, but he wasn't a star yet. Like he was doing things, but he wasn't like he was post Green Goblin or anything. But he looks like such a, I don't know, like the cops on like TV shows, on cop TV shows, where like there's this very kind of generic TV handsome. I don't know if that makes any sense. And that's sort of the vibe I got from him. But as the movie goes on, he gets more and more nihilistic, and it gets better as he becomes more desperate and depraved.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, this movie is not shot nor choreographed like a fucking TV movie. I'll tell you that. It is rich. Every sequence is dripping with 80s sleaze and just awesome design. And
You're really into the interior design.
well, I mean, it's a major aspect of this movie is the aesthetics for sure. It's just a sleaze fest, and it just adds to it. Like he really wanted, I think he was ahead of his time with what he was trying to capture of this mid 80s kind of feel. And looking back on it, I think it had a second wind of people kind of looking back on that time mid Reagan era and just seeing exactly what he was going for in that regard. And so I definitely think that's part of it. Also the way, to me, this is one of the best chase scenes in a movie I've ever seen.
Oh, it's I will say it is one of the
So
best
cool.
I've ever seen.
And you would think it would have a higher budget for the choreographing that would have gone into not just a chase scene, but having to go up the wrong side of a highway in LA, no less. It's like, oh my God, this only had a $6 million budget. And so he definitely spent it more on that and less on trying to get names in this movie. Of course, we do have plenty of heavy hitters, Willem Dafoe, which Friedkin had not even seen him in anything. It was his casting director. It was like, this guy is in this really cool experimental acting troupe. We should get this guy. And he had not seen, let's see, what was that movie we did with him in it?
Streets of Fire.
Streets of Fire. He had not seen that yet. But
Yeah. Which he does. It's interesting that earlier in his career, Foe seemed to be playing. I don't know. I say the villain more, but he is a good villain because I mean he's freaking Green Goblin as well. I don't know about like why he picked Willem Dafoe or Tom to not Tom Turturro. John Turturro is also in this movie in a more minor role.
yeah,
But it's good.
because let's see, when did this was before? Yeah, this is 4 years before Do the Right Thing. So he caught some people. Yeah, that's crazy too. And John Turturro is having a hell of a time because he's in Severance, and I will say it. This is probably his best performance of all time in Severance. Like it's
Wow.
crazy to see what powerhouse he is. So I was kind of hoping for more of John Turturro, more of like this is an asshole who just got out of jail because he outsmarted our dumb protagonist. I was hoping there'd be more of a chase down, but that doesn't really add to the plot. So
No, he's a minor character.
I know, but
We're just saying that because he's
I just like him.
went on to bigger and better things. Isn't Severance made by Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
Does he show up in like a gym suit at any point?
Nope.
He doesn't do any Globo gym stuff? Or like that guy from Heavyweights? You ever see Heavyweights?
No, I know what it is though.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty good. That's a
No,
movie.
he's not in it so far.
No. And by the way, why'd you pick this movie? Because this seems to me one of those movies where it influenced. I mean, it took a lot of influence. I won't say it's like the most original movie I've ever seen. Because I mean, there's other movies. There's like, it's not an LA movie, but like, there's like Scarface before this. We're in this whole like cocaine Miami Vice era. But it's one of these things where I feel like so many movies took from this on like how to make an LA movie that it's the trope setter for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
not
really
all.
I really just chose it because I wanted to do more William Friedkin after we did Sorcerer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, well, we could do the French Connection, but I kind of like I heard that this is more of like his like postmodern take of the cop noir kind of thing. So I wanted to see what that was all about. It
No,
sounded fresh.
no, this is a guy who really doesn't trust the government at any point. Like,
Very stylish movie. Now,
yeah.
the I was listening to the audio commentary and they brought in several guys, actual forgers who have been to prison for counterfeit to make sure it was like accurate, the accurate process. And so when you see Willem Dafoe doing his thing, it's very much a bit too realistic. And yeah, because the main guy had just gotten out of prison. So it was like, okay, what do you you get some work after prison? Yeah, telling people how to counterfeit money, getting paid to do that. That's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, no, it's like those YouTube React guys of guys who are like, I was a bank robber. Let me talk about this bank robbery in Grand Theft
Yeah.
Auto 5. It's like one of those guys. Um, I mean, because that was some of the more interesting parts. I don't know, just because it's so analog, and I know it wouldn't be done like that today. I love that they're using like huge, weird photocopy machines.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call them. At one point, he puts the money in a dryer. Is that just to make it look more
I think it's
used?
just to make it look more weathered.
Yeah, more. Okay, or I'm like, is this a money laundering joke that
It's
he?
not laundering joke because I've seen it done in different crime shows.
Oh yeah,
So there's got to be something to it. But the funniest thing is the number one, I think the number one letterbox review for this movie just says something about like the scene where we watch Willem Dafoe counterfeit money. I file the scene under sex scene because it's just that like alluring badass. Just watching Willem Dafoe do his thing, and it's like all this red lighting and just watching the process. I like movies where you just get to sit and watch the process of something I'm not familiar with. I fuck with that kind of stuff.
oh yeah. No, me too. Well, and it's the way he's doing it is really good at showing character because he's so meticulous. I mean, you have to, but
Yeah.
like that's such that character trait of like we don't have to be like he's sitting behind a chair like the Godfather being a criminal man.
Yeah.
Like we need to show like he's doing this one thing and very meticulous. It's like okay, he's not some like slapdash criminal,
Yeah.
who's just
And you kind of have to read between the lines there, like you said, for his character and some of the other characters, because they're not in your face with any development. Some characters are very undeveloped, but some of them you have to take what you get, like this, and kind of the way he talks about, like, he's very confident and he's unafraid. And I love that line where he's just like, look, I've been coming to this gym 3 times a week for the past 5 years. I'm not a hard man to find. That just sounds so badass to me. It's cold. It's like this guy's very confident and he's not easily tricked.
right. He's also fatalistic, like all of other William Friedkin's characters.
Yeah.
So he just doesn't care. Nobody in this movie cares about their own life. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, though even the way he negotiates of just like I always get this much up front, and he just doesn't budge. I don't negotiate upfront price,
Yeah. This guy is not crying for money. Like he's willing to do what he needs to do. I when I was listening to the commentary, Friedkin said that that one of the people working on the film took some of that money home and that his like young teenage son got a hold of the money and took it with his friends to like the corner shop to try and get Twinkies and host his shit with it. But here's the dumbest part. The money, the specific money that he took home as like a keepsake was only one-sided. So the other side was completely blank. How stupid of a kid can he be?
the dumbest kid ever.
And it escalated though, because like obviously the person at the front's like, okay, well, we gotta call somebody about this. And it escalated and they questioned the kid, and the kid told his dad. And so the dad said that he got the money from the movie. and they told them who the prop master was. So now the United States Treasury is contacting the prop master, and they show up at 4 a.m. apparently at his house and like interrogated him and try to take him downtown. And I think they do take him downtown or something, like 4 in the morning over this. And the guy, they're like questioning him and stuff. And he's like, "Look, I did this for a movie." And they're like, "This is too real for a movie. You're full of shit. This is not for a movie." And they're like, "I like the director is William Friedkin. You can ask him and stuff." And so they called Friedkin and they start interrogating him over the phone. And he's like, "Dog, this movie is about a counterfeiter. Like, this is what the movie's about." And they're like trying to say like he needs to come downtown. He's like, "Do you have a warrant?" And they're like pressing him and lying to him, saying that they can get a warrant and stuff, but they had no actual like right to do any of that. But it was like crazy, like how much they were drilling him over this. And it just like started from the kid and like went down so many like steps. Like
I can
all
see
of
why he doesn't like cops.
yeah.
I mean, I can also see like, first of all, I don't know. Do you not have anything better to do? I'm guessing it didn't have the for motion picture use only thing
Yeah.
that dollar bills for movies have.
My favorite joke is in Scooby Doo, where they meet Batman and the Joker and Penguin are counterfeiting money. And Batman picks up one of the bills and they're like, "This is a pretty poor job." And it's a picture of Abraham Lincoln in like a turtleneck. And he's like, "Well, when did Abraham Lincoln ever wear a turtleneck?" Just a good joke. But that's what I think of with counterfeiting money. But
No. So I felt because maybe I'm just dumb, but like with some of the character development, I was trying to figure out some of Willem Dafoe's Rick Masters, by the way. Talk about a
yeah.
name. Rick Masters. Sounds more heroic than villainous, actually.
Yeah.
Um I don't know, or just like a porn name. Um so like is he an artist or is that girlfriend of his an
Yeah, he's
artist?
an artist. I mean, this
And
is all based off of the real book that this actual Secret Service guy wrote, which he found very, he talked about in the commentary about how surreal he found it. Like one day you're fighting this Iranian terrorist at a hotel who's trying to assassinate Reagan, and then the next day you're like trying to stop counterfeiters and how like jarring that must be as a job. And he
yeah,
added a lot of the more thrilling stuff, car chase, stuff like that, more than nihilistic kind of approach to the characters and stuff. But like that premise alone, he was struck by with that book.
no.
But he said, yeah, the guy, the actual guy, was involved pretty heavily in art as well as counterfeiting. But he wanted to showcase that because he felt that the guy kind of felt that kind of annoyed that he was better at counterfeiting than he was at actually making real art and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's got to be infuriating because, I mean, because as soon as I see that house they're staying at in L.A. that's so nice, I'm like, all right, either her art is not good enough to be buying that house from what I've seen. I don't know, but people in L.A. like some weird shit in their homes. Um, so I guess that he made that off of counterfeiting money. I always have so many questions about finance and how things work when I watch one of these movies. Like, how do you launder this money? What do you do for taxes? What do not even that I need to know personally, but like the fact that people figure this shit out, instead of getting a job.
That's what I like about Breaking Bad is that Saul Goodman is like trying to get Walt. He's like, there's a bunch of different ways to launder your money. Let's choose a business for you. And you like take some around to like pick a fake business. One of them's like laser tag, and Walt is just like, it would be such a good, easy undercover thing, but Walt is like, cannot handle. He's like, laser tag. Why would I open a laser tag place? And Saul's just like, what does it fucking matter? So particular.
Laser tag's cool.
But
It's also made the opening of this movie, which you just mentioned, in which you have a jihadist trying to suicide bomb himself. It's always weird. I'm like, oh yeah, we've been dealing with this stuff for a while, since before I was born. Like there's the Middle East has been screwed for, I don't know, few hundred years, kind of, in one way or another. Um,
Yeah, he talks about
because I don't
how,
know specifically what was going on with Reagan in the Middle East. That was before my time.
well, yeah,
Um,
that's what was interesting.
what was that?
Again,
Was that the Soviets fighting the Afghans? Was that during Reagan's administration? I'm
I'm
not.
not sure,
I don't know.
but he was talking about in the commentary about how a lot in the 80s, especially in LA, and just there was a lot of threats going on all the time, like terrorist attack threats, and just a lot of paranoia from that, that he really kind of hooked onto and wanted to kind of just set that up because he realized that like he didn't have a proper opening for the film and was like, wait, we need to go back and actually tie this into the film just for the opening. Kind of just show, of course, like I said, that juxtaposition whiplash of one day you're doing this, next day you're fighting people who are making fake money.
Yeah,
So
you're fighting Willem Dafoe,
yeah.
um, which is weird. I don't know. Maybe you should have let Reagan die. um,
Patriot Act. No, wait, it's too late. He's dead. It doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah. If Reagan died and then he stopped the counterfeiters, he'd really help the U.S. economy.
Yeah, that'd be badass.
No, those lazy jokes. He was the president during the Soviet Afghan War. Just to clarify, so that was in the zeitgeist. That's what was going on in the Middle
Yeah.
East from American perspective.
Yeah,
And
dude.
that scene, because like part of my problem with this movie is like, and I'm okay. I say before, like characters don't have to be likable, but like I didn't feel heavily invested in any one character's like fate or decisions or like what was. I mean, I was watching it and I was in, wanting to see what happened next, but because there's things like um Chance's partner who's older, 2 days from retirement.
Oh, yeah.
um I understand what he is as an archetype and that it's an inciting incident. We can't kill him off like an hour into the movie after we've developed him for a 2 hour movie. But I did feel like, I don't know, I didn't really get enough of a sense of like who he was and who he was in relation to Chance. I mean, obviously they're like, oh, we're best friends, but it's very much telling more than showing to me at that part.
Okay.
So I wasn't as invested in like
Yeah, I feel like we could have had
quest for
a
revenge.
better connecting scene between those two, maybe something more grounding.
Yeah, like them fishing.
Yeah, like he gives them a fishing pole, that's nice, but maybe an actual, like you said, like actually show it for just at least just something.
Yeah, dude, they're fishing in the aqueduct and getting like
Three-headed fish.
LA fish. Yeah, dude. Um,
Simpsons ass joke.
no, dude, I actually forgot about the fishing line that he got him. That came in this weird, like, looked like one of those things, the pneumatic tubes that you send up in the mail, or that you
Yeah.
used to at least. It's like a big metal canister. One
I
of those.
wish we used pneumatic tubes everywhere, not
No,
just
oh, me too. I wish we were pneumatic tubing down the river. Like,
yeah.
I wish we had public transportation and it was all tubes like Futurama. Like it just shot it
Yeah.
everywhere.
Hope I don't run into this guy. Like,
That's the
oh
thing. What's the
shit.
equivalent of working your way up from the mailroom? Because most of my knowledge of mailrooms is from Elf. So I
Yeah.
don't, I don't really know what's happening. And do big, like, if you work in the Empire State Building, is there a mailroom where you're like sending mail between departments and floors of whatever businesses are in there?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know why I'm asking you this.
They did back in the like early 20th century, yes, for sure.
Well, yeah, because then you get stuff like Billy Wilder's The Apartment, where what's her name's entire job is to operate an elevator. I'm like, you lucky boomer fucking ass. Not even boomer. No, he's an urban boomer.
I want to say just real quick, the first half of Elf is so much better than the second half. The second half fucking falls apart.
Oh, do you think it gets too like family Christmas schmoot?
Yeah, it's stupid, and I like the whole joke of like it cutting back to the mailroom and he's doing that dance with all the people, everyone's yelling and screaming. Like that's my kind of humor. Like that's the kind of Will Ferrell shit I like. And then having the balls to just like okay, we're just gonna go shoot out in New York City and see what happens out in public skit, basically, but theatrical, you know. And then it like escalates. Now, and by the point you get to the end, and like there's these like New York Rangers on horses chasing Santa and shit in the sleigh. I'm like, fuck this. This is stupid. How did we get to this? This is dumb.
I don't know. It's a movie called Elf. What the
I
fuck do
know.
you expect? Like, it's in the, what is it not grounded enough for
No,
you?
I just think it didn't really know what it was trying to be.
I mean, I don't know. It made a lot of,
Anyway,
make a
that's
lot
my elf take.
yeah, okay.
But
Good.
yeah, for a lot of this movie, I was like, well, first of all, his partner, the one who is like, we shouldn't be doing this, that guy had very little development until the very end. That's my biggest issue with the film. That guy needed a lot more character. And you know, we do get him being resistant, trying to be the good guy. As for our main guy, our protagonist, I was looking for more, but then I realized how shallow of a guy this is in this movie. And I stopped really looking for that because you just see how empty of a life he lives. Like, take for existence, him and that girl, the way like their quote unquote symbiotic kind of relationship is, how empty and sleazy and gross it is. Like, I sleep with this girl because she has connections and gives me good information. She stays and sleeps with him because it keeps her out of prison. Like, it's so gross and empty and sad.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome though.
Yeah.
Pretty good gig. Um, no,
And I always respect any movie where it shows full frontal male as well as female, you know?
yeah, that's what I like. I like that this movie hangs dong. It's
Yeah.
mostly in shadow, but like it's a package.
Yes.
You get to see some stuff. I appreciate that. I was sitting alone on my couch and I was like, nice.
Yeah.
I said it out loud. My cat.
It's just so gross. And like,
Yeah,
this is a guy you're gonna believe is going to push the limits to do whatever it takes. And you think he's going to go so far, and you're willing to believe this guy's an asshole and willing to budge and push the limits. So it makes sense that this is the kind of character he would be. And you get more and more of that as the movie goes on. I still think he's a bit undercooked,
he is. I think both of the cops are.
but I think it
And
does get better as it goes on, and you see him just fucking spiral.
yeah, well, once he starts spiraling and saying, "Hey, we should commit crimes," that's when, I mean, the plot literally it thickens. But like, that's where his character gets, you know. But even then, my problem with Vukovic, and this is mirrored, I mean, at the end of the movie, so maybe it's the point. I don't know. Like, he doesn't seem to exist outside of chance that much. Like, I almost got them confused, almost visually, even because they're both kind of like similar looking average build white dudes. So sometimes I'd be like, wait, oh no, that's Chance. That's not the other guy. Or like, oh, that's a Vukovic. Like,
Yeah, sometimes I get paranoid when I confuse two characters that I'm stupid. And I'm
yeah, me
like,
too.
it's usually two white guys. I'm like, well, at least it's not two Asian guys. Yeah. But, and then
Yeah,
I'm
at
like,
least
am I
I'm just
dumb?
stupid, not racist.
No, I'm just saying. It's just like, but no, so I understand what you're talking about. But, and then at certain points, I'm like, well, wait, when did this develop? And in between different scenes. But uh, Freakin talks about that and in his commentary, and whether you agree with what he's saying or not, it's a deliberate choice because he says he just prefers to let everything unfold and not inform or tell the audience of the next place that they're going to. And you know, I think that's kind of obvious. A lot of films do that, but like when you sit down and really think about how a structure unfolds with a lot of movies, there you see the kind of plan that they're going for. And I really think about this as like a definitive, it's like a definite style to it in the movie of trying to figure out what's going on in this next scene. Like the next scene starts and you know that there's some sort of connection, your brain's catching up, but it can be part of the fun for me of piecing everything together. It can be a drag in certain instances, but I didn't mind it. The only part I was like, oh, they're trying to get this evidence with this book. What's going on? How did this happen? But I don't know. So it was definitely an intention on his uh end.
Well, yeah, no, because I thought that too. Like certain plot points were underexplained or just not underscored like they would be in a lot of movies, and certainly more modern movies.
Yeah.
Like I saw goddamn Captain America 4 the other day,
Oh my God.
just for the hell of it. And I understand that you're doing that for all ages, including kids, and also you're doing it for international audiences. So you want the dialogue to be like simple and explanatory enough where translation isn't an issue, you know? Um, but that had some of the like in recent memory, like that's the most disrespected I've felt by a movie as an audience member of just like it needing to explain and repeat information to me. And I know dogging on Marvel in 2025 is yeah, what is it at this point? But it's like this movie's the opposite of that. And it reminded me a little of like Edward Yang and Taiwanese New Wave, just in like he not over explaining stuff, but doing it intentionally to get the audience into that. Because I think it's because this is, I wouldn't call this a mystery movie. They are trying to solve a case. But I feel like a lot of movies where we're following detectives or whatever, they'll place clues in front of the audience, including red herrings, to kind of lead them on and invest them in the movie that way. But you can kind of do the same thing by doing the opposite and like giving them just enough information where it's like an iceberg and they're having to like piece together what's happening in their head. It's more work on the audience's part, which is part of the problem because mysteries are like, I mean, I don't know, like Murder She Wrote is like a very cozy thing. It's like weirdly comforting to people. I don't know. Never understood it, like true crime and stuff. But like, yeah, this movie does the same thing. Like, it makes you invested and like almost kind of frustrated. It's slightly frustrating, at least was to me. Like, oh wait, no, I'm having to like piece together these characters' relationships because they're not clearly stated. Like, you know, who this woman is. Oh, she's just some informant, you know, that he that he extorts.
Yeah. Now some of that can be frustrating. A lot of it though for me was just kind of refreshing, kind of like I was just going along with it and like I just had a fun time with that aspect and but I see what you're saying though, for sure.
And a lot of that's just maybe like the mood I was in. That could be any sort of thing.
Yeah, because for me it was like a shot in the arm of like adrenaline and I needed that with this movie. It's just the way stylistically it unfolded. And I love what was that? I wrote down a line, my favorite line from the movie. I just wanted to repeat because it was just so funny. Let's see. It's from Willem Dafoe. And he says, "You'll taste this in your ass," and shoots him in the head. I was like, "Hell yeah, dude!" And that's when I was in. I was like, "Yeah, I'm in. All right."
I mean, I was
It's
thinking
just,
this whole movie, that's such an art student thing to say. Like, I don't know, trying to be edgy, but you're not. I mean, first of all, this guy for an artist is about as, or at least an artist boyfriend, it's about as badass you can get. Like, I don't know, I meet artists, I could kick all their asses. Like, none of them intimidate me. I also thought it was like, is this movie just like a long way of saying, like, if you have an art degree, you're going to have to end up counterfeiting money so you can actually afford your life? Because that's what I thought.
he does. Friedkin really is attracted to what it takes to actually get shit done as a cop. What's a good cop? What's a bad cop? And that line, he says that line of morality, he says is in most of his movies, and that's why he wanted to cover it in here. And so that's what attracted him a lot to the idea of kind of his take on things.
Well,
So,
it's an insane thing where like being a cop when you think about it, such a weird freaking job. Like, and I people like crap on cops, and you know we definitely have problems with them. But like, I mean, it's like he was saying earlier, like that thing about the Secret Service about like going from like protecting Reagan to like counterfeiters. Like cops are just people who like normally just like graduate high school and then they're doing like domestic disturbances one moment and then like robberies the next. It's an
yeah.
absurd thing. And like the fact that anybody's like you have to trust somebody with that, but like I don't know. I don't know if I'd trust anybody in my life to make that. I wouldn't trust you. I'll tell you that right now. I
That's fair.
wouldn't trust me.
And there's that elevation of like he's a Secret Service agent and he's still like so easily ready to just make this insane decision to we're going to intercept this guy who's got this money in this briefcase, which they all keep referring to as the Chinaman. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's
It's
such an 80s.
85. We're halfway through the 80s and we're still just like the China man.
It's like instant descriptor, I guess. At least he wasn't wearing a Fu Manchu. But that was such a like, okay, yeah, he's willing to do this, intercept this guy. Okay, they're gonna do their own robbery. Now that's pretty bad, but like it's not absurd. And then once that escalates and it turns into the realization that that was an FBI agent, you just got an FBI agent killed, was when the movie elevated a lot for me and it just completely underswept everything I had seen and kind of Friedkin came in and was like, yeah, here's what I was going for. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I needed to make this film a bit better. And not only that, like I said, the fantastic chase sequence. And I was like, I don't know if I've seen a lot of people talk about this chase scene, even though it was so thrilling to me. And just the escalation of like starting in that, what is that called? That under, like, kind of sewer area.
Aqueduct, viaduct, whatever.
Yeah, starting there. Like, you've seen plenty of movies in there, but like, he's like, oh, getting on the highway. Nope, the wrong side of the highway. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And I was like, I don't know if I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this. I looked at Roger Ebert's review, and like 80% of it is him hyping up this sequence. And like the whole review is like him saying how awesome that sequence is. Like it's a very short review. I was like, okay. So it did impact some people.
Yeah, because that's only like 3 minutes of screen time or something,
I know.
3 to 5 minutes. I mean, here's the thing. I was watching this movie and like not really into it, but not completely bored either. But like that, it's one of the best chase sequences I've ever seen. And I didn't know that about this movie. But I forgot that Friedkin also, did the French Connection, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is like the wrote the book on chases, because again, I bring this up every time we talk about chase sequence in a movie. Like there need to be beats within the chase, like, and you have those beats you mentioned, and I really like when he was like at the port going between all the trucks backing up. He has like threatened a guy with a gun. They stopped in the middle of the chase. There's not a lot of chase movies that do that and then keep going.
Yeah. Speaking of music, Wang Chung.
Wang Chung, no
Which is-
Chinaman in that band. Wang Chung.
Yeah. They bring that kind of hyper 80s aesthetic forward very much with the score. And it's funny because he's kind of a little more traditional guy. But when he hired him, he said like, okay, but we're not gonna do like a theme where it's lyrics in it and like using the title of the movie and the song and stuff. And then like during post production, they're like, well, here's a song we made for the movie, and it was exactly what he told them not to do. And he's like, this kicks ass. Let's put this at the beginning. So sometimes you just kind of go with your gut, which Wang Chung did, and it added to that.
Yeah, and they were probably just writing stuff for the movie and were like, here, let's do that.
They saw how hyper 80s and sleazy and like neon it was, and like they're like, yeah, we got to do this. We got to add to this. So
You think
good.
anybody making these movies were like, this is going to be one of the most 80s movies ever? I
I
don't know.
really think William Friedkin had that in mind.
Of I'm going to capture this time.
Yeah,
and in 10
because
years,
like he's done a lot of. I mean, he did the French Connection. It's just more of like a classic kind of thing. This is like I want to push this into this very specific direction that might be ahead of its time a little bit, and then people look back on it and see what I was going for. Because I feel like this movie, I know this happens a lot with The Harbor, but this movie just got put on digital a few weeks ago at Amazon, I think. So like
Yeah, I watched it on Amazon this
a
morning.
lot of people hadn't had like a clear way to watch it until just a couple of weeks ago. It'd been a while. So I think a lot of people are talking about this movie again. Complete circumstantial. Like it just happens with our show here, folks. It's just
Would have.
happens to like people are talking about it again. So I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. Um, but yeah, when they get this guy killed, it really, like I said, it elevates the film. But we also finally get this. I forgot the name of the character, his partner,
It's something Vukovich, John Vukovich.
John. We finally get more of the character from him that I was wanting, especially his the scene I like with him where he's talking to Rick Masters' lawyer, and he's like, what am I gonna have to do here? Like, how much time am I have to do? And the guy says, well, you might do 7 years, but you only do a year and a half. It's like, okay, it's I would take that first of all. Fuck everyone else. It's over. We made a mistake. We got someone killed. Me personally, I'll take that year and a half,
A
maybe
year and a half
2 years.
for manslaughter or whatever is not that bad.
Yeah,
Of a federal
exactly.
agent, I would take that plea. If it was a good lawyer I could trust, which you can't because that guy is weird.
He is so conflicted and he says like, the usual, I can't rat out my partner. When the thought of like having you're gonna have to go on and wit testify in front of everybody in an open court, anyone can question you. It's like, okay, I can't do it.
Well, yeah, and you're obviously your career, especially in law enforcement, is over. So
Well,
it's like,
it's just like I can't rat out my partner. Shit, I could. But also like, yeah, that's one of the only major flaws I think is that there wasn't enough of a change at least in front of the camera of him, like he agrees to everything his partner's saying, like he gives in after a while.
he's
But I
a
don't think there was enough points of where he stops just like giving in and starts just immediately agreeing and like kind of giving his own rationale. I think he follows his partner too much. And I don't know if that's fully believable that he would be like, I can't rat out my partner because like I
yeah,
don't know.
cops don't rat each other out usually. I don't know.
But I still like seeing him thinking over and the way he's like sweating and
No, it is good. I think with John's character, the problem is like he's not very dynamic. He's very reactionary. He's not a very active character because he exists mostly, pretty much entirely in relation to chance, you know, and doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't have a life of his own outside chance. I don't get that sense, you know.
yeah.
Like you get the sense like his old buddy was a fisherman and like Willem Dafoe is an artist or whatever. This guy, it's like his life is the job. Now, in Chance's case, it's true, but that's true because we know it is because he's that type of like almost sociopathic character. But in Vukovich's case, it's just like not brought up. You know, we don't ever hear him, not to my recollection, like talk about his kids or anything like that.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if we're supposed to imply from that that he just doesn't have anything going to him to the point of maybe he, for the first time in his life, felt like he was doing something cool, something important, and maybe like he felt inspired by his partner to a point of like because he gets so invested and he goes after Rick Masters at the end. He's the one who kills Rick Masters. But when after that's over, the he like kind of is acting and like dressing like his partner at the end. It's like, okay, does he want to be this guy? Even though all this shit happened, he seems to kind of replaced him in a way and like fallen down that hole. So
No, he does, you know, at the end of it, it's um he replaces that role because he's basically like, hey, I'm gonna keep sex extorting you, Ruth, you know, so you don't go to jail. He basically says that. So I mean, I guess it's the idea that like he's been corrupted, you know,
yeah,
like he was an idealist. seeing this how the system really works corrupted him. Even though, like, I don't get the sense that this is how the system works all the time in this universe. I feel like Chance is just a bad cop.
Yeah. But I think that is like supposed to show his John's descent into hell, considering it's emphasized by the fact that it ends with him and Rick Masters literally in fire, like surrounded by fire, corruption, hell. It's pretty obvious imagery there at the end, but I do wish there was a little bit more to his character to kind of emphasize this kind of change towards
Right,
the
because
end.
the big twist is that Chance dies, our protagonist dies, which I'm into. I'm
Which is
like,
a
okay,
fucking awesome
yeah,
scene. Yeah.
I'm interested in it. And also, by the way, the gunshots in this movie, it's always like a very quick close up of like very good practical gore effects.
Yeah.
It cuts away quick, but it's very impactful. It's very well done. But no, the thing is like with Chance gone, yeah, this guy's supposed to replace him, but like I don't get enough of an idea of who he is. But that's even more to my point of like he only exists like surrounding Chance. It's like he doesn't have anything else because he's such an empty guy.
Yeah.
All these people are so empty.
Yeah. But just like that realistic kind of visceral, like, oh my God, this guy's suddenly dead. He was just blown in the fucking face. I was like, this is the way to do this scene. There's no lying down next to him. Like he does lie down to him, but it's not like you have to finish what I started. Oh my God, I didn't this tragedy. It's like, no, fuck you. You went too far. You're being punished for it. That's too bad. That's how the world works. Obviously, the title is to live and die in L.A. So
I mean, yeah,
it's
that's a
not
good
pulling any punches here, but
no, and that's
it's just a great creative choice, I
yeah.
think.
At the title, I was like, well, I expect people to die. Like, I wasn't like, what's gonna happen? I don't know. So who knows why he does that in the end, or what Friedkin is trying to say, or if it's just like a fun little thing he did. I don't know, like, this would be interesting.
But yeah. Um, yeah, I think he really a lot of the style is part of the substance in this case. I
Yes,
had a good time. Um, it was interesting, and it's also an example of just how versatile this guy is as a director. Compare this to Sorcerer, compare this to, Exorcist. It's cool. So, anyway, that's my take on To Live and Die in LA. Any closing thoughts?
man. Nah, I think you covered it. Um, Counterfeiting's cool. I like watching it happen.
Willem Dafoe's always cool, doesn't matter what film it is.
Yeah,
I'll always say, hey, Willem Dafoe's in it. So that's something. But yeah,
yeah. That's
very
why I love
fun.
Aquaman.
I like this one more than Scott. I would recommend it to anyone who likes William Friedkin and stylish kind of, I don't know, elevated cop action sleazy thriller.
Elevated buddy cop movies.
Yeah. This is better than Kevin Smith's Cop Out. So take that into account. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to support this channel, we have plenty of other episodes, over 170 Harbor episodes. We have video essays now. We've got all kinds of stuff. You want to support us? I got a book for sale. You can check that out in the comment, or not in the comments, in the description. You can follow Scott at Scott K Comedy on Instagram. You can follow me at the Mooring Line on Instagram, etc., etc. We got to grow this channel. Thanks for helping us with that. You can do all the likes, shares, subscribes, all that stuff that they beg you to do on YouTube now because it's such a pain in the ass and YouTube suppresses actual good creators. So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.